A man was venturing into the woods, searching for a place to camp. Flashlight in hand, he carefully navigated the forest when something caught his attention. Two glowing eyes stared at him from behind the foliage. It's not unusual for animals' eyes to shine at night, but this looked different. Not like just any animal. He didn't seem scared though, filming it for a moment before continuing his walk. A woman was camping in a forest when she heard crows cawing frantically overhead. She lifted her camera, hoping to catch the birds in action, but the sky was empty. Instead, her lens caught something else. Between the trees, a dark, hulking figure appeared for just a moment. It was large, shadowy, and seemed to stand upright. Then, in a moment that made her freeze, the creature lifted an arm, almost as if it were waving at her. She quickly packed up and left. What was that? And what did it want from her? Reddit user Charles Crady35 was riding his bike through a quiet neighborhood when something unusual caught his eye, and the next night, on June 23, 2024 at 10:38 p.m, he returned to a small family plot tucked in the middle of a cul-de-sac that had stayed on his mind since he first noticed it. After work the next evening, he rode back and saw it again. He recorded a video and later shared screenshots online. In the images, a crow was perched atop a headstone, but what really unsettled him was a handprint on the stone. He wasn't sure if it was blood, paint, or something else entirely. What made it eerier for him was that he shares the same birthday as the person memorialized on that headstone. The pull to visit the site felt unusually strong, so much so that even 2 years later, he still remembers it vividly. What could it mean? Jerksplosion, a Redditor, was walking trails in Nebraska at night with a partner when they heard something unusual.
I don't hear the coyotes anymore, so it's either good or bad.
We're getting further away from them.
I don't know what that was. Sounded like an owl. I don't think that was an owl.
A low-pitched, eerie sound echoed through the trees, unlike anything they had encountered before. At first they assumed it might be a bird, but no species matched the noise. Oddly, the sound only occurred when they shined a bright light in the area. They waited for several minutes, but nothing else appeared. To them, the call almost seemed human in tone, leaving an unsettling feeling. Some suggested it might have come from a barred owl, which can produce a wide range of unusual sounds. Barred owls are uncommon in Nebraska, but occasionally wander outside their typical range, especially in search of food. So was it really just an owl, or something else entirely? While burning an effigy during the annual Guy Fawkes celebrations, someone captured a striking photo. A face seemed to emerge clearly within the smoke. It could be coincidental, just pareidolia, but the features are unnervingly distinct. Eyes, nose, and mouth forming almost perfectly amid the flames. What do you think? Is it just a trick of the smoke, or something more? Deep in the Oklahoma woods, a hunter reviewing a trail camera noticed something that made him stop cold. A bipedal figure had run across the frame, too fast for the camera to capture clearly. Zooming in, the shape was a blur, but there was something unmistakably humanoid about it. Some suggest it could be the legendary Bigfoot, moving with incredible speed through the forest. Others think it might be a person caught in just the wrong way by the camera, creating a strange illusion. Could this really have been the elusive Sasquatch, or just a trick of the lens? On November 23, 2025, an 18-year-old British student named George Smith set out on a hike through the Romanian mountains. His goal was to explore the area near Bran Castle, often called Dracula's Castle, a place steeped in legend and history. But sadly, he never made it. As evening approached, he called emergency services, his voice urgent, tired, and showing signs of hypothermia, pleading for help. He said he was resting on the mountain, waiting for rescue. But then, he vanished. Authorities later found his backpack, tent, sleeping bag, and scattered food, everything suggesting he had tried to survive, but George himself was nowhere to be found. No footprints led away from the scene, no clear trail could be followed, and nothing indicated a struggle. Search teams struggled against severe weather. Heavy snow, dense fog, strong winds, and avalanche risks made the area almost impossible to comb thoroughly. And is it just a coincidence that his final destination was a place so entwined with dark legends? A man who often camps alone in a forest began noticing something unusual during his trips. He claimed that every time he returned to that location, something seemed to be watching him. At first, it was just a feeling, but then, while recording, he suddenly said the creature was right behind him. That's when a dark figure could be seen moving between the trees, partially hidden. Unfortunately, the trees and distance make it difficult to clearly identify what the man captured on camera. A man was camping deep in the dark woods in the middle of the night. While sitting outside, he heard something and grabbed his camera. High above in the trees, two reflecting eyes stared directly at him. They lingered only for a few seconds before disappearing behind the branches. It could have been any animal, small or large, but to him it felt like something big. Unsure if something dangerous was watching, he decided to quietly wait inside. On September 3rd, 2023, a pair of outdoor explorers, Rachel and Tommy on YouTube, were setting up camp in a high-elevation forest in New Mexico. As evening approached, they settled in for the night. But they quickly noticed something felt off. The forest was completely silent.
It's been loud here all day.
Yeah.
It's been
The birds have been chirping.
chipmunks.
The chipmunks have been,
Yeah.
It just got
It
dead
just-
silent.
Dead. Silent. Here, I'll hold the phone up so you can hear the silence. That's weird.
Well, we heard some.
Realizing how unusual that was, they kept their cameras ready and listened closely. Then, a distant howl echoed through the trees.
What's down there?
Did you hear that?
What's it?
That was a howl.
Was it?
It was a long ways off, but that was a howl.
Moments later, one of them noticed movement deep in the forest, but it was too dark to make out what it was.
Rachel said she thought she saw something move up here.
Then came another sound.
But this is dumb quiet.
I don't think it's. We've been here before, and I don't think it's ever been this quiet.
No, it's never been this quiet here. We're at 9,000 feet right now. Like almost exactly 9,000.
It's chilly out
And
here.
it is chilly.
Do you hear that?
I certainly did hear that. Alright, I'm just going to set the phone on my knee, and we're not going to talk for a minute.
A low, strange growl that didn't match anything familiar. Some believe it could have been a large animal moving through the area. Others think the sudden silence and unexplained sounds point to something far more unusual. What do you think was out there with them that night? They decided to end their camping trip shortly after. Fortunately, whatever it was never showed itself to them. Well, before we continue, I don't recommend anyone doing this. A group of hikers walking through a forest in Russia shared this footage. They were simply enjoying a normal hike, with a massive bear right beside them. Of course, it was in Russia. Instead of acting aggressive, the bear calmly followed the group. At one point, one of the hikers handed the bear a piece of wood. The bear took it, watched as it was thrown into the distance, then ran after it and brought it back. The interaction continued, almost like a game of fetch.
Смотри, Том, давай, апорт.
The bear even reacted playfully when startled, showing no signs of aggression. It most likely has been a bear that had grown used to human contact. But no matter what, a bear is still a wild animal, and it's always best to keep your distance. In 2017, a trail camera deep in East Texas's Davy Crockett National Forest captured something unsettling at night. The footage showed a figure, what looked like a woman, walking alone through the forest. At first it looked like any hiker, but the context made it chilling. No one should have been there at that hour. No park rangers reported anyone missing, and no one in the area claimed to know her. Some wonder if she was lost or running from something, a fugitive moving through the shadows. Others believe the camera may have captured something far stranger, a ghost wandering the woods. A man had built a tree stand for hunting, but when he returned one day, he found an unexpected guest already occupying it. He called out gently, asking the bear to come down. Somehow, the bear seemed to understand.
There you go, thank you. Hey, you look just like me getting out there.
It climbed down the stairs just as instructed, calm without aggression, and disappeared into the woods. This could have gone much worse. Someone was making their way down a dusty rural road in the dead of night somewhere in sub-Saharan Africa when something unexpected appeared in the headlights. It was a small figure, alone in the darkness, barely moving, almost like a child. Some suggest it could be a creature from southern African folklore, known to appear at night in this form. Others believe it might simply have been a young herder tending to animals, but the isolation and silence of the area made the sighting feel deeply unsettling. Since little information was shared about what happened next, it's hard to say. While camping in the woods, this person had set up a trail camera. One night during his stay, the camera captured this image. In the photo, one person can be seen walking ahead, clearly equipped like a typical hiker. But behind them, there was another figure. The second figure didn't look the same. It wasn't dressed like a hiker, seemingly wearing short sleeves and no equipment. Some believe it could simply be another hiker, caught mid-step, with lighting and movement distorting their appearance. Others think the figure resembles something not entirely human. With only a single image and no clear explanation, the moment remains frozen in uncertainty. But still, the campers left wondering who, or what, was out there near his campsite that night, especially given how remote the location was. A man was camping on a grassy field when he noticed what he first thought was an animal outside. Unable to identify it, he began recording. As it moved, its posture appeared upright and almost human, covered in thick brown fur. Then the figure turned away from the camera and disappeared into the grass. The camper stayed in sight for hours, unable to believe what he had just seen. All that remained was a blurry video, his only proof. Was it a Sasquatch, someone in a costume playing a prank, or just an animal, after all? A trail camera owner captured something strange in a field of tall, dense crops, something hard to make sense of. They wondered if it was a person, blurred by motion, which already seemed odd in that time and place, or perhaps something unknown. Some even suggested it looked like an extraterrestrial or a cryptid. Whatever the truth, the owner will probably never find out, which must be frustrating. Numbmind on Reddit shared a chilling story from their rental home, where one morning they woke up to find drops of blood on several window panes, with no trail leading to them. The droplets were scattered across 5 windows, high and low, with nothing on the ground to explain how they got there. Commenters suggested everything from a bird collision to something more sinister, though most agreed there was no real evidence for anything supernatural. Still, it's the kind of thing that would feel unsettling, almost personal. In 2016, a family in Russia was traveling down a quiet dirt road. At first, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. But then, everything changed.
Как, где он? Подойди, стой. Снимай. Снимай. У тебя зум, есть зум? Прибавь изображение побольше, можешь?
Могу.
Я так себе.
Прибавила.
Я поближе к тебе.
Смотри.
Он что-то странно бежал. На четвереньках.
Он идет. Он бежит. Он встает. Лёш.
Жак.
They spotted a massive, dark figure hidden among the tall grass. Panic quickly set in as the creature began to approach. The video is shaky and unclear, but one thing is undeniable. Something enormous was moving through that field. Luckily, the family managed to get away unharmed, but the encounter left them shaken, still wondering what they had witnessed that day. Amy Rowe Bechtel was a 24-year-old elite runner living in Lander, Wyoming. She wasn't just passionate about running. She had competed at the University of Wyoming and dreamed of one day qualifying for the Olympics. In the summer of 1997, Amy had just started a new chapter in her life. She and her husband, Steve, had recently bought a house, and she was working at a local gym while organizing a 10-kilometer race in the nearby mountains. On July 24, 1997, Amy's day started like any other. She taught a fitness class that morning, ran a few errands, and stopped by a store to pick up a frame for a photo she wanted to enter in a contest. Employees later said she seemed to be in a hurry, checking her watch several times before leaving around 2:30 p.m. After that, Amy headed toward the Wind River Mountains, planning to run part of the race route she had been organizing. That was the last confirmed time she was seen. Later that evening, her husband returned home from a day of rock climbing. Amy wasn't there. At first, it didn't seem unusual, but as the hours passed, concern started to grow. By around 10:30 p.m., he contacted authorities. In the early hours of the next morning, searchers found Amy's white Toyota Tercel parked along the remote loop road near Burnt Gulch. The car was unlocked. Her keys were still inside, along with a to-do list. But one thing stood out. Her wallet was missing. A massive search effort followed. Volunteers, helicopters, and tracking teams combed miles of rugged terrain, but there was no sign of Amy. No footprints that could be confirmed, no evidence of an animal attack, no signs of a struggle, nothing. At first, investigators believed she may have suffered an accident, or possibly encountered wildlife. But as time passed, attention shifted. A witness claimed to have seen a woman matching Amy's description in a truck similar to her husband's. And when investigators searched Steve's belongings, they found journals containing violent writings, which he later said were lyrics and creative writing. Despite the suspicion, no physical evidence ever linked him to her disappearance, and his alibi was supported by friends. Years later, another name surfaced. A convicted killer known as the Great Basin Killer, Dale Wayne Eaton, was believed to have been in Wyoming around that time. But again, there was no proof connecting him to Amy. In 2004, Amy was officially declared deceased. What actually happened to her that day remains a mystery. Did she suffer a tragic accident in the mountains? Or did she encounter someone on that isolated road? Because after all these years, there's still no answer to one haunting question. How does an experienced runner simply vanish in the middle of a routine run? A solo explorer known as Exploring with Bear ventured deep into a snow-covered forest in Ohio during a brutal winter day. The deeper he went, the quieter the forest became.
I'm not on the same trail as I was. Oh! It's so dark. Man, this camera ain't doing nothing but justice. Those are some big cliffs there. Big monster cliffs.
Then, out of nowhere, a loud knock echoed through the trees.
Whoa! What was that? Holy smokes, man, that scared the crap out of me.
As he continued, he came across a large teepee-like structure made of branches. Fresh footprints led directly into it, suggesting something or someone had been there recently. Later that day, more knocks followed. Then, footsteps.
Holy smokes. Oh man. That was a huge, huge knock. Huge knock. Something's walking. Something's walking.
As he tried to leave, the sounds grew more intense. At the same time, his camera battery died, leaving him alone in the freezing forest.
What was that? Did you hear that?
Fortunately, he made it out safely, but whatever was out there remains unknown. During his stay in a cabin in the woods, a former police officer began hearing strange noises at night. It sounded like something large was moving around outside his cabin. At first he thought it was just animals, but the sounds kept getting closer. One night he grabbed a flashlight and his phone and stepped into the woods behind his house to check. As he walked a few meters in, something suddenly caught his attention. A dark creature, with two glowing eyes staring directly at him. He froze, unsure of what he was looking at. Fortunately, the footage was later shared online, confirming the man made it back to his cabin safely. But no one could explain who or what he encountered that night in the forest. For more scary camping encounters, watch this next video.